What I'm making now is chili meat for chili tacos. And what I do is I've ground up about 3 pounds of hamburger. And what I like to do for my hamburgers, I buy a roast and have the butcher grind it into hamburger for me so it's not very fatty. Then what I do, I know what's in it then. Then what I did was I added 3 onions right here. So after the ground beef is cooked, drain the fat off if there's any. I just basically have a little bit of liquid juice when I'm done with mine. So that's how you can tell it's a good, hamburger where you don't have a lot of fat in it. Then I did I'm cutting up 3 onions, and then I'm using 2 cans of stewed tomatoes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, here's another can of stewed tomatoes. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simmer this so that the onions cook up nice. So I'm kind of sliding it over to the side, sticking the 3rd onion in. And this is basically doctoring up a store-bought chili recipe for taco meat. And I'm using a McCormick taco seasoning here. And I have 3 times as much meat as they recommend. So I'll be adding some other seasonings to taste. And what I have on hand is some of this Slap Your Mama stuff that my family loves. So I will be adding that. And here's some Cajun seasoning, Slap Your Mama as well, to give it a little bit of kick. But what you do is you can add as much or little of the spice as you want. I'm not going to say go ahead and add 2 tablespoons or 4 tablespoons because everybody has a different type of a tolerance for spicy food. But I start out with this just taco seasoning blend mix, and this gives, what's in this is some cornstarch, some garlic powder, I think onion powder maybe, if you don't want to add your own. Some potato starch. I mean, I prefer not to use this, but I'm doing a quick Mexican buffet for my family today, and just throwing in this is faster. It's got some garlic too, and I'll adapt to this. I'll add a little bit more garlic powder because, like I said, I'm using 3 times more meat to this because I'm feeding a large group of people today. But I'll just add more to the basic spice mix here. So I'm going to simmer this for a while so that my onions are all cooked, and I'll just flip this meat over on top here, just like this. You can see it's just a little bit of juice left, and that way the onions get cooked up nice. If the onions aren't all caramelized and soft, that's okay too, because with tacos you're going to smother it with onions anyways. But like I said, this is the lazy cook, and this is how you do it. You cook for me being lazy, and it still works. The onions still get cooked and tender. Just throwing it in all one pan and simmering that up. I'm going to cover it, and I'll simmer that for like a half hour or so. I'm going to bump up the heat a little. I had to slow down that heat. I didn't want the steam coming up. Oh, actually, it looks a little steamy here. But that's the beginning base of your taco meat for your taco shells. And I'm going to show you once it's done what it looks like. And here is the onions and stewed tomatoes simmering nicely. The onions are dissolving in. I did chop them pretty small. And I'm going ahead and I added some of this cayenne pepper to it. I just sprinkled it lightly over the top, probably less than a 1/4 teaspoon. And then I added some garlic and herbs, and then I added some crushed garlic, 2 tablespoons of the crushed garlic. It comes in a jar pre-crushed. It's in the refrigerator section. But I added a little bit of this to the top as well, this dried stuff. This has no salt in it. For my family, if you want to salt it, we salt it at the table. I don't want to add lots of salt. That McCormick seasoning already has a lot of it in it. So that'll be plenty for this. So it reduces the salt when you add more meat to it. By adding the tomatoes to my chili meat and the onions, I am also reducing the fat content that you're eating, because you're going to be eating more vegetables, fruit, the onion and tomato, than you are the actual meat. So this helps stretch the meat, and it also helps, you know, give more vegetable to you as you're eating it. But it's a great mix that you scoop on top of your taco, so your meat's mixed in. But that's just how I like to do my taco meat. You can also take this, divide this in half, which I'm going to do, because we don't need all of this meat. I have a pot, for my buffet today, I have a whole pot of chicken. I'll show you what I'm cooking here in this area over here. I have a whole pot of queso chicken that I'm cooked, and I also have a YouTube video on how I made this, which is absolutely delicious. And this we're going to also have on our tacos as well, so we'll either have chicken or beef taco. So my next step is to divide this taco meat here, and I'm going to divide this in half, and I'm going to use half of it to make some chili, some nice beef chili, and we'll have the taco with the beef chili as well. Actually, I'll leave less than half. Less than half will go into my chili because I don't want a lot of meat in my chili. And my son loves this as leftovers, so he can eat this all week for leftover tacos. So I'm going to start up the chili, and I'll show you what that looks like. But this will just simmer for a little bit more. I'm going to reduce this heat here. This is my GE profile, by the way, and I do like it. I'm going to go ahead and reduce this heat down. Everybody will be arriving soon, and this is almost done. And like I said, you season it to taste on yours. And I always have this out for my buffet because my family loves to slap your mama right there. They love sprinkling that on their Mexican food because they love the spicy stuff. But we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and start up my chili now. But the meat here pretty much is done for the taco part. And now I'll just add some of this to my beans, and I'll have some meat chili ready for them as well. Okay, we're all ready for the Mexican buffet, and I want to just show you how we have our setup for this. I'll start off actually with the hot stuff down on the end. This is the chili meat here, and I have a quick video on how to make that. This is the queso chicken here, which is absolutely delicious. This is going to be the big hit there. And then we have some homemade chili here. And then we have some Mexican rice, refried beans. And then we have our fun little shells. So you can do it any way you want. You can make little taco boats. You can make hard taco shells. You can do burritos. And then we have our toppings down on this end. Here we have guacamole. And this is a homemade guacamole with, is there bacon in that guacamole? No. And then we have our little homemade salsas. Sour cream. Oh, and what we did was we float sour cream on the top of that guacamole. That way it stays, it doesn't turn brown as we're waiting to serve it. And then we have some, what's that corn stuff again? Tex-Mex? Salsa? Black bean corn salsa right there. And it's a sweeter salsa. And then for toppings, you can have your banana peppers and hot peppers. And then we have a little bit of dip over here for the chips. And then here's the little bar over here for the toppings, any kind of toppings you want to make. And then we put these little fun things in here, these little strips here if you want it just opened up over your burrito. Have a big wet burrito with those little corn things flaked on top. That'll be fun too. So there it is, how we have it. A quick, easy layout of a Mexican buffet, American style.